Hi everyone, Chad here. Thank you for joining me today. So I started up my Avant and I noticed that I have this weird sawtooth pressure curve, which isn't good. A little bit of a wobble in the pressure is fine, but this is something like 0.2 megapascals of a difference from the high to the low. We likely have a problem here. I can confirm the problem by looking at the waistline, and instead of a nice even flow, it stops and starts. We're probably going to need to fix this. Before I explain what I think is going on here, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit and put the inlet in some warm water. Alright, each pump is made up of two pistons that alternate, so there's an even flow. Each piston is in these metal housings right here and has two check valves that keep the flow going in a single direction, from the bottom up, as the piston moves back and forth. These check valves are made up of a couple of glass holders and a tiny little marble colored red. When the pressure directs the flow upwards, the marbles float around in the stream, but when the pressure is downward, the marbles fit into the glass holders almost perfectly, which prevents the flow from going backwards. Last week, I ran the system in a solution with a high concentration of sugar, then left it over the weekend. While I thought I rinsed it out, it looks like I may have missed something, and one of these little check valve marbles is probably stuck. The far less likely problem is that there's something wrong with one of the pistons, so let's assume it's the check valves and try to clean those. The easiest thing to do first is just to try to run the pump in warm water to break up anything that's crusted in there. That's what we did a couple minutes ago, but obviously that isn't working right now, so we're going to have to take the check valves off the system and try to do something different. We'll start by removing this distributor off the bottom of the pump and then the two tubes on the pressurized side. Next, we'll use a wrench to remove the two bottom check valves and set those aside as well. I'm sorry if my hand is in the way here, but removing these things in the tight space with the camera isn't easy. For the top valves, the next thing we want to do is remove the purge valve ring. Then we'll take a wrench and unscrew the valve. I was using a crescent wrench here, and you always want to be careful using a metal tool with plastic parts. Don't force anything. These valves weren't coming off, probably because of the sticky sugar I was using. So I dabbed some water on them to break it up, and then let them sit for a couple minutes while I went to go look for a proper wrench. The top valves fit an 18mm wrench, which was more secure when trying to loosen the valves up. I eventually got them off. Once we've freed the valves, the next best thing to do is to soak them in water. After the soak, we put the check valves back on the pump heads and test the flow again. But if that doesn't work, let me show you the next step. We want to be very careful not to pop the glass holders and marble out of the check valve. I'm sure it's possible to put them back in, but they have a particular orientation and the red marbles are very easy to lose on the floor, so we're going to handle the valves very gently. That said, let's start with the hardest valve to clean, which is the bottom check valve. I don't know why, maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. The bottom valve is tough because the flow has to go outwards, so normally the metal piston housing holds all the little parts in place. Here, I'm going to push down on the edge of the cap to hold it in place while I lightly push on the syringe to run water through the valve. To make this connection, I'm using a plain male lure adapter without a lock. Just a bit of water should do the trick, and avoid the temptation to really push water through the valve. The top valve is easy by comparison. All we have to do is put the valve into some water and suck water into the syringe. The small parts are less worrisome here because as we pull water through the valve, it is pulled towards the center of the valve, and the parts that hold all the little bits in place. Still important to take it easy though. To make this connection, I'm using a 1/16 inch compression fitting. Hopefully that does it. Before we put everything back together, I want to take just a second to show you with this old check valve that I have what will happen if you push too hard and the parts come out. The little marble is in here somewhere, and I lost the second marble when I was setting up this shot. Anyways, when you have cleaned out the valves, you put them back together again the same way you took them apart. Don't over tighten the plastic parts, just tighten them finger tight and then turn them with a wrench, maybe a quarter turn. If they leak after that, then maybe tighten them just a tiny bit more. Once everything is back in place, prime the pump using the purge valves and test the flow. I think cleaning the check valves is pretty easy to do. You just have to have the proper know-how and the confidence to do it. Alright, so back in Unicorn, I'm going to set the flow rate to 5 mils a minute to check to see what the pressure curve looks like. You can see I get a tiny bit of a sawtooth here at the beginning, but then the pressure stays steady. If I check the flow out of the waistline, now it's even as well. Sorry, it is hard to get a good focus with my camera, but I think this gets the point across. Anyways, it's pretty clear that the problem was almost certainly one of the check valves. Okay, I really hope this helps you fix your system if you're having a similar problem. Be careful with those tiny parts and those metal wrenches, and good luck with your purifications.